All right. 3, 2, 1. Go Nintendo Podcast, Webisode 549, the Lilligant Podcast. Lilligant is a grass-type Pokemon. It evolves from Petalil when exposed to a sunstone. Lilligant dons a scarlet flower with white spotted petals upon its head. Said flower has golden filaments with red anther, resembling a crown. It possesses dark green linear leaves under the flower and light green linear leaves underneath the darker leaves. One of the light green leaves on the back of its head is about as long as its body and resembles hair. 2 light green leaves loosely hang down from its head. Its head and abdomen are white, and its eyes, which resemble seeds, are a light shade of scarlet. It has dark green linear leaves for arms and a golden sepal under its neck. It wears a large light green tulip-shaped collection of leaves resembling a dress. There are 2 long dark green linear leaves coming from its back to around the bottom of its dress, quote unquote. It also possesses another golden sepal-shaped extension underneath its dress resembling feet. The flower on Lilligant's head is very difficult to coax into bloom. Once it does bloom, it will wilt if Lilligant is then neglected. The flower emits a sweet-smelling aroma and is believed to have a relaxing effect on those exposed to the scent. It is a rare Pokemon that lives in forests. Lilligant is a female-only species of Pokemon with no male counterpart. Number 549 is a grass-type Pokemon, and you heard every color this damn thing's got on its body. Hi. Good to see you. And for those of you listening, good to not hear you. Good to not see you, and good to not hear you. It's me. It's RMC. Just me today. Because tomorrow we have a family event to attend to. It's a family member's birthday party. And what is going on here? What is this? And I have to make sure that we are there because it's family and it's important. But the podcast is equally important because you guys are my internet family. So here I am doing the show live. Do it live by myself because I didn't know when I was going to be able to record, and I didn't know when I didn't know when it was going to happen. I just knew that it had to happen today. So the first chance I had to actually do the show, I put it together, and here I am. If you're watching the show, the background looks different than usual because our living room is still set up for the Parents Play feature, which we record last night. Most of you guys know we record a new Parents Play every Thursday night. And we record that late. And I was very busy last night on top of that regular Parents Play stuff. So I didn't have time to reset the living room. So now I'm sitting at a table like, I don't know, 3 feet away from a giant TV because that's how we record Parents Play. So the table I normally do the show at is in the middle pretty much in the middle of the living room. But I'm making it work. So now for those of you watching, like I was saying, you get a look at the lovely artwork in the background of the Star Fox team up on our wall. And a cat pillowcase that you can see there, which was given to us by John the Savage and Lurleen because they thought it looked like Manch, and it kind of does. So yeah, that explains the weirdness as far as why we're recording today and why the camera's all different and all that good stuff. But thank you to those of you who are joining live. I appreciate it. I know I didn't really announce this ahead of time because there's lots of other stuff going on, and usually the night before a Friday podcast, I make a end-of-day thought letting you guys know it's coming and asking if you'll join to watch live. But last night I only mentioned it very quickly within our regular end-of-day post for Thursday, which is the latest Parents Play. Speaking of that, look at my head, man. If you're looking at the live stream, I look weird the way the light's coming in. I look like a 90-year-old man. Look at that. Head's got all kinds of weird creases in it. What the hell's going on? Getting old, man. Last night's Parents Play was Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos, or as Stu Michaels always said, The Dark Sword of Chouse. That was available on the Wii U Virtual Console in North America as of yesterday, and my parents have been playing some stuff that they've been doing really good at. They've been having it kind of easy lately, so I was like, well, that's enough of that. With this game hitting the Virtual Console, it was the perfect excuse for me to check the game out myself, because I'm a big fan of it. But also to let them play it and snap them back into reality where old school games are very tough and games aren't always going to tell you what to do and where to go and how to do it. So they gave it a shot last night. And I honestly have to say I am pleasantly surprised with how they did. I'm sure you can kind of expect or figure out how they did, but still better than I thought. So if you have the time, I'd love it for you guys to check out that video. And as always, I appreciate the support you've offered for that series and all their other video stuff. I believe tomorrow we'll have our first GoNintendo, what's the word? We'll just say GoNintendo related Egg Busters. There should be a new Egg Busters tomorrow, which is the first that comes after the partnership we announced with the lovely Austin. So look forward to that. Yeah, it should be up tomorrow. So I don't even know what game he's doing, but I know we're going to be sharing it on GoNintendo, and I know the video is going to be great. I don't even have to question that because his videos are always great. So look forward to that as well. And also, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who started, who have been following all of our social media accounts as well as GoNintendo in general. Last few months, I don't even know how long, I'll even say half a year, we've had a really nice uptick on stuff just because I've been pushing things differently and trying to be more active on social media and stuff like that. So we're getting a steady influx of Twitter followers and new YouTube subscribers because Parents Play, and also a lot more since last week because of the announcement with Austin and Egg Busters. So I appreciate all the newcomers there as well. Our Facebook page has been growing as well, which I'm really happy to see. Basically, here's how GoNintendo works. If you want to see absolutely everything on GoNintendo, you go to GoNintendo.com. The website's going to have everything. If you want pretty much everything, you're not going to get every story, but almost every story. You follow us on Twitter. And our tweets have a nice little image tied to them. And you'll get a few random thoughts from me from time to time, maybe a question or maybe a poll or just a stupid thought, stuff like that. If you want like the major stuff of the day, the notable and major stuff of the day, you can check out our Facebook page. So you're going to get, let's say, you get 100% of the stories on GoNintendo. I'll say you get a good 95% on Twitter, and then on Facebook you get like 15% maybe, depending on the day. And then on top of all that, our YouTube is our YouTube, so that stuff will be posted on GoNintendo.com and the Twitter. But you can subscribe to the YouTube, and then there's also the Instagram, which we post something new to every day, or at least I try to post something new every day. Fan art or art related to something that was announced or screenshots or whatever. You can check us out on Instagram. But yeah, all of them have been growing. I'm really pleased and surprised. I mean, you guys always have been amazing with supporting GoNintendo all these years, however long it's been, 11 years or something like that. But the support just keeps coming in, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much. So if you want your whole life to be GoNintendo, visit GoNintendo.com and follow all our social media stuff. But if you don't want to, then don't. That's fine too. Okay, I did that. Did the YouTube stuff. All right. I had a special package show up in the mail today, which I haven't had time to look at for myself because I've been busy doing the site and I knew I had to do the podcast. And afterwards, I have to clean the house and do more on the site and clean myself too. That'd be nice. But I thought I'd take this time on the live stream for those of you who are watching live to showcase what showed up in the mail. And if you're only listening to the audio, you're missing out today because I'm showing off The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. A review copy showed up in the mail today. Got an email and said, there's a package outside for you. And I was like, ooh, let's go see what it is. And here's what it is. Here's what it is. So I'm going to open it up and give you guys a closer look at the goodies in here. I mean, if you've been following along with the game, you pretty much know what to expect inside anyway. There's the fancy Wolf Link amiibo, and you get like a boxed copy of the game as well. And as soon as I get it open, I'd love to show you. There we go. I hate opening packaging like this because I always think the packaging is so nice. But, you know, I kind of got to play the game to review it. And when I buy games, I like to play them. So Here's the package for the game. There's your new Twilight Princess HD cover art. If you'll notice, it is a blue box, not a gold box. Not a gold game either. I'm going to open it up and show it. You know, I thought to myself right before I started the show, I was like, oh, I'll open up Twilight Princess on the podcast, on the live stream, and let people see. And I was like, I should get something to, like, cut through the sticker or the cellophane or shrink wrap, whatever you want to call it. And then I didn't. So that's why I'm struggling right now. All right. There we go. Let's take a look at the pretty disc inside. There's your Twilight Princess HD disc art with Wolf Link and regular Link and Epona and Midna. Man, I cannot believe that Twilight Princess came out, what, 9 years ago? I remember it fondly because back in the day, I got invited to Nintendo of America's headquarters to give Twilight Princess HD, just regular Twilight Princess, a chance on the Wii. So the Wii was new and not out yet, and Twilight Princess was new and not out yet. And I got a couple days worth of playtime on it, and it was a really exciting time. The Wii wasn't out, right around the corner. We were all excited about it, didn't know what to expect other than, you know, the promotional stuff that we had seen. It's different when you actually get it into your hands. Then we had Twilight Princess, which it's a Zelda game, so people were super excited, and there had been a massive delay on that, which I'm sure most of you remember. And, you know, now we're 9+ years after that. Seems like it just happened yesterday. That's crazy. And now we have Twilight Princess HD. So that was the game. Now, I really don't... I don't want to open the amiibo. The packaging is so nice. I don't know. I'll think about it as the show goes on. There's your Wolf Link amiibo with Midna on his back. Man, that is a pretty amiibo. I really like that. So, you know, the amiibo will work with The Legend of Zelda Wii U as well when that comes out. But this unlocks the Cave of Shadows in the game, which is like one of those challenge dungeons where you go lower and lower into the dungeon to see what you can do. But you're only playing as... get out of here, cat. You're only playing as Wolf Link in that challenge dungeon, so you won't be able to transform into regular Link. So that's some new content for the game, and there's obviously some other tweaks and twists along the way, some of which we've read about. But I'm sure there's more things in there to make note of. I just haven't had a chance to play the game yet. I literally opened it up with you guys right now. So look forward to impressions from that. We'll talk about what we can... what's they say? Yeah, we'll talk about what we can on next week's podcast, or what I can on next week's podcast, and answer whatever questions I can. But for now, we have to cover the news of this week, and it was actually a pretty busy week as far as notable news goes. There's been some interesting rumors. There's been some notable stories and other good stuff like that. Chris Rowe says, I might not be able to keep this amiibo in the box depending on Zelda Wii U's features. That's a very good point. You might be able to get the Twilight Princess HD, and you're like, I'm cool with keeping the amiibo in there. I don't need to do the challenge cave, whatever the hell it was called. So you leave it in the box, and then Zelda Wii U comes out, and they announce some awesome things that the amiibo does, and you're like, oh, I kind of want to open it now. But we will find out those details later. So we have some rumored information about the Nintendo NX, because, you know, Nintendo's not talking about the NX, so all we have to go off of right now are rumors, but we're not posting every rumor that we find. We're posting rumors from very trusted sources and people I have come to know over the years and also know personally. So this information, like last week's rumor, comes from Metal Dave, and again, he's someone that we've worked with for a very long time. And I've been talking to, actually, this week about his rumors and stuff like that. So it's... I would say he's very trustworthy, and I know he's not going to put his name out there on stuff that he doesn't believe in. So we have this tidbit about the Unity engine and the Unreal Engine 4. He says, coming from his inside source, The company that he was talking about last week that was giving out this first round of NX dev kit information, that company is working on a game that utilizes the Unreal Engine 4. And if you remember, that company has a lot of interest in bringing their game to the NX. They just need to get the NX specs squared away. So their game runs on the Unreal Engine 4, and they say NX dev kits are in limited supply, and a larger number of developers wanting dev kits will get an SDK to prep their titles. So software development kit, which is basically, you know, not hardware, but basically the specs you need to be able to create a game for the system. So you're able to get you know, a ballpark idea that will at least let developers work on projects that should be able to function properly on the NX when they actually get a working dev kit or hardware like that. And also we hear Unity and Unreal Engine 4 will both be ready in time for when developers outside of key partners are able to purchase dev kits. So two big engines supported right there, which is great news. I mean, it's not really a surprise on either side here. I mean, Unity is on Wii U and new 3DS as well. So it would be surprising to see the NX not support Unity. And then Unreal Engine 4 is just the natural progression of stuff. So again, rumor, but you know, like I said, trustworthy source. Hailman1704 has the first comment, and he says, "These are the kind of rumors I'm glad to hear, minus the limited dev kit supply." Okay, sure. I'm not going to say who I've been talking to developer-wise, but I have been talking to some developers, try and get some information as to where they're at and what's going on with NX. And I will say I have talked to at least 2 developers who are actively trying to get their hands on NX dev kits right now. And that's all I'll say. So, you know, I mean, by now we all know that the dev kit stuff is the real deal. And it's going around, especially to larger third parties, because they need, or not that they need more time. They don't need more time, but they get more. They get the red carpet basically because they're the bigger guys, so they're gonna get the longer lead on the hardware and the inside information to hopefully create games for launch at NX. So that's the case. But yes, I've been talking to some other developers that are trying to get their hands on stuff right now. And that's not like, you know, I heard a rumor that stuff's out there. That's like, we know it's out there, and we're trying to get our name on that list to get our hardware. So stuff's going on. When are we going to hear about the NX? You know, E3. I don't know if we're going to hear about it before, but we're definitely hearing about it this year. The producer on Splatoon talked about being open to the idea of a sequel. They also talked about the nerve-wracking work of getting the first game ready. So this is Splatoon producer Hisashi Nogami, and he's talking to Games Master, which is a magazine. He says, "We've dealt with online multiplayer in a number of titles up until now, but this was the first time we'd taken up the challenge of releasing a package game where multiplayer was the main mode. We were not 100% sure about how a few sections would be received, and so we're really happy to see them being well received, not only by experienced online gamers, but a really broad range of players, including children and females too. It's a real confidence booster. If we have the chance in the future, I'd like to build on online gameplay even more." Then he goes on to talk about potential for a sequel, and he says, "We want to raise the new IP with care, so maybe we'll get a chance to make it happen if players support us." So I think it's going to happen. I don't know if you know this, but Nintendo really likes their sequels, and also on top of that, Splatoon's doing really well, especially when you consider it's on a system that doesn't have a very high install base. So, you know, you're talking about what? 12 million Wii U's and over 4 million people have a copy of Splatoon. That's pretty damn good. First comment, especially for a new IP. First comment comes from Master Monster, and he says, "I am certain the sequel is already being developed, but I hope they take their time with it to make it a true, worthy sequel." Well, now that, you know, Splatoon has cemented itself in part of Nintendo's history and has proven to be capable of bringing in millions of consumers, I am sure Nintendo is going to take a lot of care with crafting a sequel if there is one in the works, because that's how they handle all their sequels. And again, you know, we've heard these rumors of Smash Brothers being a launch title for the NX, and everyone expects that to be like Smash Brothers Wii U and 3DS Complete Edition or something like that. So an NX version that includes all the DLC and extra stuff that was eventually added to the Wii U and 3DS versions. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same kind of thing with Splatoon. Put out a Splatoon Complete Edition on the NX that has all the DLC, like weapons and maps and all that stuff. I mean, I think something like that just makes sense. Give people an excuse to check out the game for those that haven't already, and it might be enticing for those that have been playing Splatoon but kind of fell out of it, and now they'll have new hardware and another excuse to jump right back in. So, you know, that's just me speculating. There's no evidence, or I haven't heard any rumors of that, but it just seems like a move that would make sense. But as far as a true sequel goes, yes, I'm sure we'll get one at some point, and I'm doubly sure that Nintendo's going to take their time in making sure it really lives up to the first one. Mr. Junichi Masuda, the Pokemon head honcho, has announced that he will be attending E3, and he'll be doing so as part of Pokemon Company International. What's he going to do at the show? I don't know. I'm sure he's going to talk somewhat about Pokemon Go, which should be out by then. So hopefully he has lovely, wonderful things to say. Also, we're at the Pokemon 20th anniversary, so makes sense for him to be at big shows like this, because I'm sure there's other Pokemon things in the works that we don't know about. For all we know, he could be attending E3 to help promote and talk about a localization of Detective Pikachu. I don't know. And like I said, I'm sure there's other things going on that we don't know about. And if he's showing up at E3, E3 is usually a big deal. So I don't think he'd show up and be like, hey, there's a new set of Pokemon cards out. Thanks for having me. And then that's it. I'm sure it's going to be something notable. LED Mirror Knight says, hey, you Pikachu, too. If he really wanted to make people's faces melt, he would announce Pokemon Snap 2, which is something that people have wanted for a really, really long time. But yeah, you would think there would have been a sequel to Hey You Pikachu by now, especially considering how Nintendo's portables and now consoles have microphones built in. So Hey You Pikachu, you know, it came with the microphone accessory, but now we have platforms that have microphones built in. You would think Nintendo would have jumped on that by now, but I guess not. Maybe the novelty wore off for them. Jordan has first comment and says, oh, shit. Hoenn confirmed. Now, that's the kind of stuff we expect from E3 rumblings. Whenever anybody says, I'm coming to E3, the big rumors start happening. So let your Pokemon fantasies run wild and free. And then you can come back down to Earth on once E3 starts. Or maybe not. Maybe there'll be something that makes all the hype worth it. There is a new mythical Pokemon discovered. I love how Nintendo or Pokemon Company says discovered. The new ones just keep popping up. You think they're done, and then there's like 100 more. The newly discovered mythical Pokemon Magearna. I'm guessing that's how you say it, because it's got gears on it. So we'll go with Magearna. The newly discovered mythical Pokemon Magearna will appear in the next Pokemon movie scheduled for release later this year. Known as the artificial Pokemon, Magearna has a metallic body and was created by humans 500 years ago. Man, we know that it was created 500 years ago, and we just found out about the thing now. It's about 3 feet tall, and it weighs 177 pounds, so pretty hefty. In this latest Pokemon full-length feature film, a mysterious force binds Ash to the mythical Pokemon Volcanion when it falls from the sky. Volcanion can't get away, and Ash is dragged along as it continues on its mission. They arrive in a city of cogs and gears where a corrupt minister has stolen the ultimate invention, the artificial Pokemon Magearna, created 500 years ago. The minister plans to use Magearna's mysterious power to take control of the mechanical kingdom. Can Ash and Volcanion work together to rescue Magearna? One of the greatest battles in Pokemon history is about to unfold. Man, that Ash, you know, he really goes above and beyond when it comes to Pokemon training. He just set out to catch some Pokemon and train them to fight other ones, and look at all the amazing things he's done over the years. You have to wonder if like all the other Pokemon trainers have these kinds of crazy stories go on too. We just don't hear about them. Like every one of these Pokemon trainers is on an epic adventure. But we only ever hear about Ash. Low Camp is the first comment and says, not to be a killjoy, but when on earth are we going to get a legendary / even poison Pokemon? It's so weird that this has never happened before. I mean, there have been even normal type legendaries. Well, I'm not too well versed in the world of Pokemon, so I can't really answer that question for you. All I can say is I'm sorry you haven't gotten what you wanted, and I hope it happens soon. Europe. This week's downloads. What did Europe get? They got a Lego Marvel Avengers demo. Gaibon says, like Paper Luigi's Epic Adventures. Yes, people want a Paper Luigi game. They've wanted it for a long time now. Lego Marvel Avengers demo is available. I mean, I don't mean this as a knock, but like if you've played a Lego game, you have a pretty good idea of how they are. I don't know if you want a demo. Like, I don't know if you're going to need a demo. I mean, a demo is nice and it's free, but like, who's like, I wonder what this new Lego game is like. Oh, it's like all the other ones, just with different characters. But that is available on the Wii U if you'd like to play it. And believe it or not, well, all right. There's special offers on some Wii U games as well. 3DS got Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. They had not had that in Europe, and they just got it as of today. It released in Europe today, so we've had that for quite some time. And now our friends in Europe can download the game or purchase it at retail. And, it's kind of like us with Yoshi's Woolly World. Europe had that for a very long time, and we didn't, and then eventually came around. So European Pokemon fans, today is your lucky day. You can now buy that game, like I said, retail or download. Also available is Return to Popolacroix, A Story of Seasons Fairy Tale, which is such a goddamn long title, and it drives me nuts every time I have to write about it on the site because the title takes up so much space, and when I tweet out a story, a tweet is 140 characters. When you're typing out Return to Popolacroix, A Story of Seasons Fairy Tale, that's like all of it or a good portion of it, and then I have to say the title, I have to explain what the story's about, and I have to include an image. So that's not a lot to work with. But, I guess I could just go Return to Popolacroix, but it's not like that's short either. But that's available, and that is a 3DS title available on the eShop or at retail. In Return to Popolacroix, A Story of Seasons Fairy Tale, players take control of Prince Pietro, a young hero on a perilous and epic quest to return home. Along the way, he must meet a host of colorful characters, discover a world of strange creatures, and ultimately save the land from a mysterious darkness that's threatening the very future of his entire kingdom. Also available is some DLC for Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold the Fafnir Knight. You can get the Ultimate Feathered Warrior DLC, the Winter's Harbinger DLC, and the Wanted Lucky Bud DLC. Also available, are these DLC or just themes? Doesn't say themes. Also available in Europe is a set of 3 Sega-related themes for your 3DS. So if you want your 3DS to have a little Sega flair, you can now purchase the Dreamcast theme, the high-tech Sega theme, and the Sega Saturn theme. Dreamcast and Sega Saturn are self-explanatory, but the high-tech Sega theme is transport yourself to a Japanese arcade in the late 80s. Insert coin now. So it's an old-school arcade-themed theme. Also available is the Pokemon Champion Steven theme, a theme featuring Champion Steven and his team of Pokemon. Scroll the touchscreen to explore a unique comic-style illustration. And then there's special offers on a handful of 3DS games as well. So there are some, there's definitely some big titles this week, but not too much as far as content-wise. There's not a lot of titles to pick from, but there are big ones like Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon and Popolacroix. Wii U just got the demo, which is kind of sad, but it's a Lego demo. Man, we got a lot of Pokemon news. I'm just realizing that. It's almost like there's some sort of anniversary or something going on. The Pokemon Super Bowl commercial, which we've covered a few times on the past podcasts, and I'm sure you've seen and has been viewed by somewhere around like 18 to 20 million last time I checked. 18 to 20 million people. Well, the commercial just got another accolade. YouTube does their YouTube Super Bowl commercial ad blitz every year, which is where viewers of the commercials vote on which one is their favorite. And they have the top 5 results. And number 5 is the KFC Kentucky Fried Chicken Dream commercial with, oh boy, can't remember his name. What's that comedian's name? His book is like King Baby. I can remember that, and I can't remember the guy's name. That's terrible. I even saw him live. I'm drawing a blank. Well, if anybody can help me out, that'd be great. Number 4 was the Mountain Dew Puppy Monkey Baby commercial, which got a lot of chatter, but everything I've seen about the commercial is people saying they don't like it or it weirded them out. But, you know, it's effective advertising. People are talking about it. Number 3 was the T-Mobile Restricted Bling commercial, which features Drake and then T-Mobile people coming in to change his commercial a little bit. Number 2 was another T-Mobile commercial, the Drop the Balls commercial, which had Steve Harvey referencing his flub that he made at the Miss Universe pageant. And then number 1, believe it or not, the Pokemon Train On commercial. That was voted on by millions and millions of people. And the Pokemon commercial came up. Jim Gaffigan, thank you, Guy Bonds. I appreciate it. That was the KFC guy. The Pokemon Train On commercial came out as the number 1 commercial of the Super Bowl, as voted by you guys. And it's not like I was saying, it's not like, you know, 100 people voted. It's like hundreds of thousands of votes at the very least, millions at most. So congratulations to Pokemon Company and Nintendo on that. I guess that was $5 million well spent. $5 million just to buy a spot for a commercial during the Super Bowl for what, 30-second spot, I guess. $5 million right there, and then I don't know how much the actual commercial costs. Could have cost another $5 million for all I know. It's a lot of money to spend on a commercial, but I guess it was effective. Rack Attack Force has the first comment, and he says, "My question is, why the hell Puppy Monkey Baby is number 4?" See? And Javer has the next comment, and he says, "I get that sometimes weird commercials get people talking, but it was a pretty terrible commercial." You know, I'm not knocking anybody that liked the Puppy Monkey Baby commercial. It is what it is, but yeah, I was let down by it. I thought, you know, I see a lot of commercials that are weird but funny. I thought this was just weird to try and be weird, but also funny. Like it was a swing and a miss, I feel like. But I guess not. I got people talking. Hello, Maximilian X. Thanks for joining us. Nintendo account registration is now open, which is something I never thought I would say. You know, you talk for over a year about Nintendo accounts and how they're coming, and Nintendo's like, yeah, we're doing it. It's a major cornerstone of what we're working towards in the future. It'll happen on 3DS and Wii U and NX and mobile and computer, and ties everything all together. And that's all the information we got for you. We heard that spouted for a while, and now it's out. You can register for a Nintendo account. And Nintendo kept saying it's going to be really easy. You can sign up with your Nintendo Network ID or your Facebook account or your Twitter account or your Google Plus or your regular email address. And super easy. It is just me, Maximilian, yes. So, yeah, they were like, very easy, very easy, very easy, you know. And then I was like, oh, we'll see how easy it is. I went to do it. Took me less than 30 seconds. Like, it was nothing. It really was nothing. It was over and done with before I even knew it. I happened to sign up with my Nintendo Network ID, and I already have that saved on my desktop, the login for that. So I filled that in for me, and I clicked like 2 buttons, and I was done. I had my account. My profile was up, and that's that. So that's fantastic. That's exactly how you want it to work. And logging in the future won't be any problem because you have multiple ways to do it, and you can tie your accounts to it. So say you logged in with or you set up your account with your Nintendo Network ID, then you can go in and associate your Facebook and your Twitter and your Google Plus and whatever with it. So you'll have multiple ways to log into it, which is a great thing to do just in case you do end up forgetting one of your logins. Then you have multiple ways to get in there. So super easy, super quick. And like Nintendo said, an important part of their future. So gonna want, if you plan on being a Nintendo fan in the next couple of years, you're gonna want one of these, and it's not like you have to pay to do it. We can't use it for much right now, but the things we're going to use it for are coming. They're on the way. First comment comes from Bob Buffalo, and he says, "Oh, not Mexico. Great. Well, I don't know if Mexican registration has opened up now. not Mexican people, but people that live in Mexico. Not specifically, are you Mexican? No, you can't do it. People that live in Mexico. I don't know if that has changed since this has been posted, but you'll get there. Also available is Mitomo pre-registration. So Mitomo is coming out in March, and Nintendo had said that the Nintendo account will work, or my Nintendo account will work with Mitomo. So that registration or pre-registration opened up as well. So you put your information in there to let you know more about Mitomo when Nintendo is going to talk about it. And they will be talking about it very soon because it's February and this is supposed to come out in March. So the site also gives a very good rundown of information on what Mitomo is, what it does, how you use it, if you got to pay for it. And it also gives us another good look at the Mitomo app in English. So we got new screenshots and stuff like that, which is nice to see. So yeah, it was very cool in the sense that this week we finally got to actively participate in things that Nintendo has been pumping up for a while now. We just get a drip feed of the same information over and over and over and over again. But now, like, the future's now. Now we can sign up for this stuff, which is cool. You know, it's nice. It's like a milestone. It's nice to hit that because we know, you know, we're working towards Nintendo's future, which is a different approach than what they've done before. We'll still have the regular games on hardware, traditional hardware, but now we're getting into the mobile stuff, and it's exciting. It's cool to see. Stud Muffin says, "One me, Tomo them all." Ha 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 ha. Very funny, Stud Muffin. That's how he wrote it. He wrote it like that on purpose as a joke. So I'll give you the official rundown of Mitomo, just if you're confused as to what it is. Here's the blurb from the official website. It says, Mitomo is an app from Nintendo that brings out a side of you your friends have never seen before. How? By making a me of yourself that's your personal go-between. Ever wonder what fun details make you you? Your me will find out by asking you questions about yourself. Want your friends to know all about these little insights? Oh, thanks, Comanche. Don't push the camera. Jeez. Want your friends to know all about these little insights like your likes, dislikes, or just what you're thinking lately? Your me will go visit your friends' me characters and tell them. Then your me will ask your friends for fun details about them and tell you everything. Your friends' me characters also visit you when you play. Mitomo is a new way to bring you and your friends together like never before. Would you expect anything less from Nintendo? Did we mention that your me actually speaks too? Anything you or your friends say about themselves? Then there's a pre-registration bonus. And there's Nintendo account stuff. If you pre-register, you can earn My Nintendo Platinum points. Platinum points are part of the My Nintendo Rewards program. And My Nintendo points can be redeemed for rewards through My Nintendo. And obviously, we don't have anything to redeem them with or anything to purchase with the redeemed points right now. But I'm sure we will see more of that in the very near future. Well, hello, Mr. Eisen. Thank you for joining us. Andrew Eisen is in the chat. I saw that he just came in, and I feel terrible because he had asked me to, he graciously asked me to be a part of his podcast these last couple of weeks, and I have not been able to make it happen because I'm super busy, more than usual. And I told him I got these reviews to work on, and I got to do this site stuff, and I got to do the podcast a day early because I'm not going to be around Saturday. And I feel bad, but hopefully we'll team up in the future. It's kind of scary to consider being on his podcast because he has such a deep, sexy, seductive voice. I feel like that no one can compare to him. And for me to be on the podcast with him, I'd just sound like an ass. I'd be mesmerized by his own voice, and I wouldn't even be able to speak. So Ridley Soria says, "Okay, not really blowing my skirt up. Seems just as pointless as Wara Wara Plaza, or even worse, the Animal Crossing Plaza. But since it's free, it won't hurt to try it." Well, let's not judge Mitomo yet. It's not even out. And again, it's not supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be a new social service. We'll see what happens with it. It's free and it's for talking to people. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine myself getting it and being like, boy, this free social app sucks. Like, it's just for talking to people. I always have my phone with me anyway. I mean, like, what the hell does it matter? But if I know my internet, I'm sure people will complain. Not that there's not going to be valid reasons for complaints, and people are more than welcome to be as upset or not upset about something as they want. Personally, I just feel it's something silly to get upset about. But maybe it'll come out and I'll be like, boy, this is terrible. We'll see what happens. LED Mirror Knight says, this is dumb, but I guess it's free, so I'll get it. Yep. That's exactly what it is. Somebody's got to clarify and be like, this looks stupid or this looks dumb, but since it's no money, I'll do it. It's okay then. Well, I'm glad you can join us too, Andrew. I appreciate it. We have another rumor from Metal Dave, but I want to stress that this is not sourced by Metal Dave. So he has not vetted this rumor. It is just a rumor that came across his desk from someone else. So as we said with the earlier rumors, I would put a little more weight into them being true because Metal Dave has been in contact with the sources himself and has vetted the information. Now, this is just something that is purely rumor. But you could see how it might potentially be true. The rumor is that the NX is going to get both Final Fantasy 15 and the Final Fantasy 7 remake. Now, if I'm going to pick which of these is more likely, I would have to go with the Final Fantasy 7 remake. Why? Because Nintendo and Square Enix worked together on Smash Bros. Wii U to get Wii U and 3DS to get Cloud in there as DLC. And yes, Cloud, even though people are like, Cloud's never appeared on a Nintendo system before, he has in one of the other Kingdom Hearts games. So Cloud's been on Nintendo platforms, but, you know, not in the game that he's most well known for, or even other spin-off games that he appeared in where he played more of a substantial role. So, you know, people were like, Cloud and like Midgar and all this other Final Fantasy VII stuff in Smash Brothers. I wonder how they pulled that off. That's crazy. You could see how conversations like that would pave the way for something like this happening. Like Nintendo and Square Enix working together, and Nintendo's like, hey, we would really like to have Final Fantasy VII Remake on NX. That'd be really cool. Square's like, yeah, well, it'd be really cool if we could have a character in Smash Brothers from Final Fantasy VII. That'd be really cool. And they worked on the deal. But again, that's all just speculation. But like I said, you could see how a rumor like this would catch some momentum because it's not like it's completely out of the realm of possibility. And hopefully the NX repairs the broken third-party relations that the Wii U is suffering from. And you hope Nintendo's really going out of their way to be like, listen, we want that content that you're giving to other platforms, and we will have a platform that's capable of handling it. So please don't leave us in the dust. So it's a nice rumor to think about. It's certainly one that we'd all love to see come true, even if you're not interested in Final Fantasy. It's not like it's a bad thing having 2 Final Fantasy games on a Nintendo console. When was the last time we had mainline Final Fantasy games on a Nintendo console? Oh, that weren't like virtual console releases or something like that. Yes, you know, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a remake, but if the 15 part is true, then that would be nice. So we'll see what happens. Carefree Captain has first comment, and he says, this is exactly what I was thinking when Cloud was announced for Smash Brothers, not to mention the fact that Square Enix has openly been considering bringing games to the NX, and he puts been considering in quotes because, yes, it seems more like one of those things where they're like, yeah, we'll think about it, which means, yeah, we're doing it. So we'll see what happens there. But interesting rumor nonetheless. Just like I said, do not put that in the same group as the other ones we've been telling you. They're not nearly as trustworthy, but they are certainly as nice. Pokemon Go is going to roll out soon. We don't have an official date yet, but Pokemon Company has given us some information. They have said that Pokemon Go will roll out first in Japan, Europe, and North America. So if you're in one of those regions, you're going to be among the first to get Pokemon Go. And remember, this is a mobile game, free mobile game. I think it's free. And then later on, the app is going to release in South America, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So again, no specific dates for anywhere, but first part of the rollout is Japan, Europe, and North America. And also, very worth pointing out, Pokemon Company stated that they, well, specifically Mr. Ishihara has said that Pokemon Company is working on another big project that's separate from Pokemon Go, but he did not give any other details. So your hopes of another mainline Pokemon game have been renewed because we get this big tease. Would they make a tease like this and then say it's Detective Pikachu? No, I don't think so, because we already know about that game. So we will see what's going on. Keep your fingers crossed. Blade Master has the first comment, and he says the bigger question is, when are they not? When are they not working on big projects? Huh? I don't know. Man, did I ever just take a break and they're like, no Pokemon right now. We're just going to take it easy for a while. My guess is no. But there's a difference between a project and a big project. So it's not like, we're working on a big project right now. It's Pokemon Shuffle 2. I think most people will be like, that's not a big project. So we'll see if their definition of big lines up with ours. In more Pokemon, this is a Pokemon podcast, man. In more Pokemon news, Bandai Namco talked about the creation of Shadow Mewtwo for Pokken tournament. And they have said that they hope Pokemon Company decides to take the character and make him canon. Because as of right now, he only exists within the Pokken tournament world. But Bandai Namco is hoping that changes later on. This comes from Pokemon tournament producer Masaki Hoshino. He says, when we were originally coming up with the design, we worked very closely with the Pokemon Company and Game Freak to make sure everything was right. What happened was we at Bandai Namco had the idea of making a really cool dark-colored Mewtwo. So we had one of our designers take a crack at it and then presented that to the Pokemon Company and Game Freak. They all thought it looked really cool, so then we worked together to brush it up. Because everyone really liked Shadow Mewtwo, I have a personal hope that they'll continue to use it, but it's not really our decision, unfortunately. Then the Tekken producer Katsuhiro Harada said, for this game, it's kind of a spin-off from the main series. It takes place in an area called the Ferrum region, which means something like Iron region, playing back into the Tekken connection. So within the context of the spin-off, Shadow Mewtwo is obviously a canonical character. Of course, how the Pokemon Company and Game Freak decide to use the character is up to them, but I think Mr. Hoshino's passion for the character might inspire them and encourage them to use it. And then when Pokemon Company was asked about this character possibly becoming canon and appearing in other games, other mainline Pokemon games outside of Pokken Tournament, they said they had no comment. Nintendo and Pokemon Company's favorite line to use. So, I'm sure it'll pop up somewhere else. I just don't know how far they're going to take it. Master Monster says, it is a cool look from Mewtwo, so I'd love to see it somehow appear in main Pokemon games in some form. Game Freak loves to promote the ever-popular Mewtwo, so this would give them another reason, another neat... What? Game Freak loves to promote the ever-popular Mewtwo, so this would give them another neat go with it. Goodbye, everybody. Probably just a typo. I'd say another reason to go with it. Yeah, Pokemon Company works in mysterious ways. Maybe it's tied into that big project they're working on. So I posted this story, and as soon as I sent out the tweet, people were like, that's not right. You shouldn't post that. That's incorrect. That was my internet person voice, random internet person voice. But it seems people only read the headline and then didn't go on to read the article. And when they read the article, they apologized for it. It involves how Nintendo handles voice acting in their games and the information that they give the voice actors when they're recording a statement or when they're recording their dialogue. So, Rena Strober is a voice actor. She's done the voice of Azura in Fire Emblem Fates. And I want to point out that she does the singing and the regular voice dialogue. So, and a lot of games and even anime as well. And Disney movies too. They'll have one person record the spoken dialogue for a character, and then another person will perform the songs. But in this case, Reba did both, which is very impressive. And she sat down to do an interview with an outlet that I would love to tell you, but I don't. Niche Gamer, I think it was. And they were talking to her about the process of voice acting and recording voice work for a game. And this was her first Nintendo game. And she said, you're not allowed to know the title of the game. You don't usually know your character. You don't know anything about it because it's very secret information. So I didn't know I was hired as a singer and a speaker, but here was this character that I knew singing was her power. So I just sort of did it and had a great time. They often change your character name so you don't know it's a sequel or something. So it's, it's typical Nintendo fashion. They do their best to make sure fans don't know that a game is in the works until they are officially ready to announce it. So, this could be standard practice for other companies as well, and I just don't know it, but it's not surprising with Nintendo. They bring in people and are like, hey, you're recording the voice for this character. Her power is singing, and she has this backstory, and here's your lines of dialogue, record it. But they're not like, hey, this is Fire Emblem Fates, a new Fire Emblem game, and you're going to be recording for Azura, who is blah, 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 blah. So, certain things are held back and certain things are changed, so these voice actors can't go out there and put on their resume just yet that they've done a Fire Emblem game and announce it before the game is announced by Nintendo. Or, make mention of it on Twitter. All they can say is, hey, I voiced the character. I guess they could say, depending on the NDA, they could say, hey, I voiced a character in a Nintendo game. Or in general, they might just say, I voiced a character where I got to sing as part of my job. But yeah, Reba came out later and she took or Rena or Reba, this is terrible, Rena Strober, I keep mixing them up backwards. I'm like, Reba Stroner, Rena. So she came out later and hit out against some of the discussion that focused in around the interview, because she said it was taking what she said out of context, or it wasn't conveying what she said in a way she meant it. So some articles popped up that were saying, like, Nintendo doesn't give any information to the people that are recording voices for their games. They're just like, hey, you're girl 3, here's your lines, go. Or like, hey, you're guy in store, these are your lines, go. So basically saying, like, they bring the people in, they give them no information on the character, no motivation for how they should be feeling for certain dialogue scenarios. Just basically give them lines on a sheet of paper and say, all right, read them. So that's how some outlets and some forum discussion went. And Ms. Strober took offense to that. And she said, that's completely wrong. Of course, we're giving character traits and history. So yeah, that, there's a big difference between not giving any information, giving information that shows motivation for your character, and then giving full details on the character. So obviously she could be given details about her Fire Emblem Fates character, but not told that it's a Fire Emblem game, and not told how it plays in the Fire Emblem lineage. She could just be given vague details that help motivate her and show her how she should be performing certain lines of dialogue or singing the songs that she did. So there was a bit of a disconnect there. But yeah, my article was focusing in on the secretive nature of Nintendo when they have voice actors record stuff. My article wasn't saying Nintendo doesn't give any of their characters voice acting direction. They don't give them any information on characters at all. They just record lines, and that's that. So that was not my focus, but like some people, like I said, some people just automatically saw the post and thought that's what it was about. And if you played Metroid Other M, I couldn't blame you for thinking that way. Chicken08 says, a lot of developers do this. I think SAG-AFTRA is trying to change this. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. This might be normal practice for a lot of other developers, but it just fits with who Nintendo is so well. Do you want a Pokken tournament on 3DS? It's probably not going to happen. Mr. All right, Cat, come on, dude. My mouse is right here. Mr. Katsuhiro Harada and Masaki Hoshino, developers on Pokken Tournament, gave their reasoning why something like that wouldn't happen. Mr. Hoshino says, it's definitely a challenge to get it on the Wii U with what we're doing right now, and it definitely would be a challenge to have the same graphical experience on a 3DS. So, that's a reason I think we could all expect and could have figured out on our own that the 3DS doesn't have the horsepower to pull it off. And Mr. Harada took a different approach. He says, programmer does not need technology. Programmer needs budget. So he's saying, we don't have the money to do it. Too much money. There would need to be too much money to put into the project to make that happen, and we don't have that money. So 2 good reasons, I would say, although I'd say the one that's more likely is the power one. Top-rated comment comes from G-Man, sir. Remember, top-rated comment gets bumped all the way up to the top on our site now because you guys get to vote on comments. So G-Man, sir, has the top-rated comment, and he says, the images on articles give the story a little more personality. I like it. Meanwhile, I hate Daisy. He's bringing back the Daisy comments from last week's podcast, which caused a very heated debate with podcast member PC, who's not around too often, but is actively trying to be on the show more. And just today, she was like, great news. I don't have to work tomorrow. I can be on the podcast. And I was like, oh, well, about that. So she would want to be here tomorrow. Or she could be here tomorrow if we were doing a regular show, but we're not. And yes, they got into a little spat about how Daisy sucks, and she thinks Daisy's great. I'm neutral. So that's what that Daisy point was about. But thank you about the comment for images on posts. Usually I just run with text because I'm the kind of, what the hell's wrong with my hand? I'm the type of guy that's like, just give me the information. I don't care about pictures or anything like that. I just want, like, give me the details. I want to read the details, and that's it. But I understand people like to spice things up a little bit with imagery. So I try and pick images that fit well with the story, and I usually go towards something a little funnier. Like, this is a story of Pokemon or a Pokken tournament. So I have an image from Pokken tournament, but it's like a giant grinning Gengar face, which fits in with the, it takes a snarky approach to the interview snippets that we shared. So, I've been doing that more of a post. I've been going with images for each post to try and fancy things up. So I'm glad to hear some of you appreciate it. Also, I want to say a very big thank you to you guys for the great discussion you've all been having on my Fire Emblem Fates review. So we posted our Fire Emblem Fates review. The embargo was up Wednesday, I believe, at noon. And I've been playing it for a while. And I wrote my review and shared that with you guys. And you guys seem to really, really enjoy it. I mean, you guys usually like my reviews and say nice stuff. But this one in particular built up some great conversation about the game in general, about my review, and all kinds of stuff. So thank you. I really appreciate it. It was very, very cool to see that. And Austin, Eggbusters Austin, our good friend, made comment to me just last night saying how he thought it was the best review that I've written, which means a lot coming from him. I really appreciate that, because I'm the kind that I'm the type of guy that's always like, well, I did that and it sucks, and I did this and it sucks. I'm not like, man, everything I do sucks, but I write a review and I'll never be happy with it. But when I was writing the Fire Emblem Fates review, it just like, I don't know, it just flowed really well. Like I always do stream of consciousness when I write, because I feel that makes it more personal. And I know some people would say that's more amateurish and not as sophisticated as it should be. But, I'm the type to each his own. And just for me, I'm very personal in how I present, or I present my content in a very personal way. I like to have a personal touch. I like to, I don't like flowery. I don't personally like flowery language. As you can tell, I just, like to tell you how I feel and what the game made me feel. And I like to keep it personal. And yeah, when I was writing this review, I don't know, it just like I had a vibe, I had a feeling when I was writing it. It just felt really good. So I finished the review and went through it, and I'm like, yeah, I like that review. I still think it sucks, but I like that review. So for him to say that, I really appreciate it. And you guys, like I said, you guys as well. Thank you for the kind words. So there's still great discussion going on in there. And I'll bring up a point of that in a second. I think I have to skip the top-rated comment because the top-rated comment is mine. Shoemaker has first comment, and he says, not sure which side to start first. Yes, that is going to be your decision. When you get to Chapter 6, you pick Birthright or Conquest, or you pick whatever they're called, Hoshido and Nor. It is a tough decision. Obviously, you can play both, or you can only play one, or it's a decision you have to make. But yes, it is not an easy decision. So yeah, discussion came up in my review. Let's see where it started. JG233 said, I know a lot of people hate scores, but I wish there were scores in these reviews. And as you know, I used to do scores for reviews. And then I was like, you know what? Scores aren't for me. I never really liked scores in general, but I was like, man, scores just don't jive with who I am. I feel like scores become such a focus of reviews. Like reviews for a big game like Fire Emblem Fates comes out, and people are like searching the internet to see the reviews, and are like scrolling down. They're like, okay, where's the score? Where's the score? And then like, you know, message board threads are like, here's the outlet, here's the score. Here's the outlet, here's the score. Here's the outlet, here's the score. But no details on how the reviewer came to that score. And I also feel outlets treat their numbering different. Like, you know, some outlet will give a game a 6, and people are like, boy, that game sucks. It got a 6. You know, it's the old joke about the only review score numbers that really exist are 8, 9, and 10. Everything else below that is garbage. And I like to think reviewers pour a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of heart and soul into their reviews, and I hate to see them boiled down into just the number. I don't like it. And then there's the whole Metacritic thing, which eventually turned into publishers saying, like, we need you guys to make an 8 out of 10 game. So if you could really aim for that 8 out of 10 or better, that'd be great. What the hell kind of thing is that to say to a developer of a game? How many developers, you know, more often than not, you would think developers set out to make a game that's good, and they're like, you know, today we feel like making a 4 out of 10. I'm sure there's games where, you know, developers pick up licenses, like whoever the hell made Garfield Kart, and that developer's like, oh, can't wait to make that Garfield game. It's going to be great. You know, you could see how like developers might be like, it's a licensed game. We don't have to pay too much attention to it. But more often than not, you have developers who are like, we're going to make this the best damn game we can. And we got this budget, and we're working with this publisher, and they're saying we got this amount of time. Let's make this the best experience we can. I don't see developers getting together and being like, all right, guys, focus is a 7 out of 10 today. Let's really hit that mark. And if you start to make something that's too good, we're going to need you to pull back on it a little bit. It doesn't make any sense in this Publishers Act. It's like Guillermo del Toro just said in that panel he did with Kojima. He said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, the only thing that's holding games back right now are the bastards with all the money. So the publishers are ruining games because they're footing the bill. And of course, they're footing the bill. They get some say. I get that. But to say, like, aim for this review score average is dumb. It's so dumb. But anyway, somebody's, like I just said, whoever the hell said it, JG233, said he missed review scores, which we used to do. And I went in there and I explained, like, I understand why people want reviews. I understand everybody doesn't just see a score and, like, that's the end of it for a review. I get it. But they're just not my thing. But I said maybe from now on I'm going to start tying a completely nonsensical, useless review score to a game just for people to have that number to bicker about or talk about. And I'll mark it, I'd mark it as such, like the GoNintendo completely useless and nonsensical review score. And I use the example of Rick and Morty from one of the episodes. I think there's a guy called Steely. I think his name is Steely. And he goes around stealing things and he takes them back to his shop. And then he lays them out on a table and tells you how much they're worth. So he's got like, I forget. I know he's got solo cups, but he's got other stuff too. And he lays them out on a table and he's like, he's an alien. I should point that out. He lays them out on a table and he's like, I give this, this is worth 15 brapples. And I don't know what the hell a brapple is. And something else, he's like, I give this 14 brapples. And you have no idea how he's coming to this score or this value conclusion. So I took the screenshot of the guy and I added in, I give it 15.5 brapples. I really want to do that with review scores from now on. I think that'd be really funny. So you get a score, it doesn't mean anything, and then you can argue about it in the comments if you want. Andrew Eisen in the chat was saying, oh, I missed it. He was talking about, I think he said he got yeah, here it is. He got a death threat or death threats for giving Wind Waker an 8.5 back in the day. Yeah, Mr. Eisen, I was there, as I've said many times before on the podcast as well. I got a few death threats for my Shadow the Hedgehog review, which did have a score. But one in particular was from someone who told me they wouldn't spit in my mouth if they saw me dying of thirst in the desert. So, there's people that say certain franchises and certain franchises come with a pre-installed review score. So, like, Call of Duty comes out, and certain outlets are going to be like it's 8 or higher. And that's how it always is. And is that warranted? I don't know. I have heard terrible things about outlets and review scores, and we've seen instances where people are exchanging review scores for advertising coverage and stuff like that. So it's not like the corruption doesn't happen. I don't know how widespread it is. But yeah, I've heard terrible things. And like I've said before in a few podcasts over the years, there is one in particular that it's a horrible story. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible story about a review score for a game that came from a reviewer that, long story short, the reviewer seemed to have a bias against the game and 100% did not appropriately review the game. And I'm not talking about like just playing it and not liking it. I mean, like, fundamentally not playing it correctly. Like didn't have appropriate hardware to play the game, and found that out after the review was shared and didn't change it. I'm being very vague about it because it's not my story. I'm not crying about it. I've got a cough. It's not my story to tell, and I promised the person that I would never tell it, or I would wait many, many years to tell it until they gave the okay. So one day, I hope to tell you guys about it. Mind-boggling. If it were my story, I would tell you, but it's not, and I respect the other person, so I'm not doing it. But they shared it with me, and I could not believe it. Couldn't believe it. So yes, unfortunately, there is corruption that goes on. And, like I said, it all goes back to the number. Because a lot of people are like, what's the number? That's all I care about. But if you want to see review scores from me, read Nintendo Force, because I write for Nintendo Force. And the guy that runs Nintendo Force wants review scores. And that's how it works. If I want to write for Nintendo Force, I have to play by his rules. I may personally not be for review scores, but I'm not going to tell someone else they're wrong or they're bad. If you want a review score, I'll give you a review score. That's fine. Just not my personal thing on my personal website. And believe it or not, this coming month, I have a review for Oddworld, which I just wrote last night. And I don't think I'm incorrect. I'm pretty sure the cover story is Twilight Princess HD, and this will mark the first time for Nintendo Force that I've gotten to review the cover game. I'm doing the review for Twilight Princess HD. So with the pre-installed score for it, it'll be at least a 9. I'm very happy and honored that I get to review on the cover story review. That's very cool. Watch, I'll see the cover and it won't be Twilight Princess HD. It'll be something else. I think it's the cover. Obviously, it's going to be the headline review for the issue. So, all right. North America, this week's digital download. Snazzy, I'm sorry you're sitting in the dark. His power's out. Or her power's out? I don't know. Their power is out. North America, this week's digital releases. What did North America get? We got Fire Emblem Fates Birthright and Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. Those are available as of today. Europe, I am terribly sorry they're not available for you. Soon, Europe. Also, the Fire Emblem Fates Map Pack 1 is available. It features 11 maps plus bonus content upon release. This is Map Pack 1. So in Map Pack 1, there are 11 maps. And remember, that is paid DLC. Right? Let's see. Is it free at the start? No. Pay. Got to pay for it. Oh, no. If I only read stuff. The first map, map 1, Before Awakening, is now available for free. So there you go. A little taste. Little taste of free content. Project Cross Zone 2 is available. The sequel to the original world-crossing adventure with legendary characters from some of Japan's most prolific video game publishers. You can get that now. On the Wii U Virtual Console is Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos, and Double Dragon 3, The Sacred Stones. Double Dragon 3, not my favorite. And I should also point out Ninja Gaiden 3 is available as well. Ninja Gaiden 3, The Ancient Ship of Doom. Here's a dark secret of mine. I've never played that one. Love 1 and 2. Never played 3. I always heard it was kind of subpar compared to the other ones, but I need to decide for myself. And having it on a virtual console is the perfect excuse to do so, so I will do so. So again, Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 3, and Double Dragon 3 are all available on the Wii U Virtual Console. Sales, as there are always sales. On both Wii U and 3DS. The 3DS eShop got the Sega Dreamcast theme, the Pokemon Champion Steven theme, and the Fire Emblem Fates Birthright and Conquest themes. Also available this week is Musicverse Electronic Keyboard. That's a 3DS app or game, whatever you want to call it. And Tap Tap Arcade is available on the Wii U. So a big week in North America with some exciting stuff for fans to look forward to. I'm sure many of you are playing Fire Emblem Fates right now. Please. No, next week I'll ask you guys which side you went with. Carefree Captain says, I think I'm ready to take on some old school difficulty in Ninja Gaiden 2 again. Maybe I'll actually beat it this time. Now I'm just waiting for GameStop to ship me my copy of Fire Emblem Fates Collector's Edition. I fight for my friend's nibbles. A Smash Brothers / GoNintendo podcast joke. Fire Emblem Fates is basically 2 games in one, or 2. I shouldn't say in one because you have to pay for the other, but 2 games, if not 3, when you consider the Revelation DLC. It's called Revelation, right? I don't remember. I'm terrible with names. And Fire Emblem Fates director Kuhei Maeda and producer Masahiro Higuchi and Nintendo director Genki Yokata all talked about how it was developing these games at the same time, 2 at once, basically. Kat, what is up with you today? Intelligent Systems has around 150 employees, so they were all working on Fire Emblem Fates Birthright and Conquest. And both the games utilize the same pool of assets, so it's not like they had to create new assets for each game. They created one big set of assets that both games pulled from. And Intelligent Systems had one team working on the core of both games, and separate teams were focusing on level design. So the main core of the gameplay was handled by one team on both games. And main staff involved with this project was more or less the same main staff that handled previous Fire Emblem games. And then they're also talking about the renaissance that Fire Emblem is going through right now because, as we've documented before in the past, Fire Emblem Awakening was going to be the last entry in the series because the franchise wasn't doing too hot. And then, everything came together and it really worked out. Fire Emblem Awakening sold really well. And the big breakthrough was it really was like the breakthrough entry for the franchise outside of Japan, which is a huge deal. I remember talking about the marketing for Awakening on the podcast. And I remember saying, I thought the marketing was fantastic and a really great commercial. And it really got people interested in it. And then you throw in the fact that permadeath is no longer a thing if you don't want it to be. You don't have to have characters die for the entirety of the game. And that woos in the casual gamer more. Or the casual fan, I should say. So everything came together in a perfect storm and really raised the profile of Fire Emblem outside of Japan. And you can really see that now with Fire Emblem Fates because it's getting a ton of coverage. There's advertising all over the place, outlets covering it left and right. So it's definitely been moved up into a higher tier of games as far as gaming press and the gaming public is concerned. So the developers are asked about how they look to continue the success of Awakening and Fates. And Mr. Yukata says, personally, I feel it's very important to keep what's been working well in the series, as well as challenge ourselves to implement new things in order to make it more fun and enjoyable for a broad audience. Mr. Higuchi says, Maeda-san mentioned earlier about this game being a tough RPG, sort of like a simulation type of game with a turn-based system. And while some people really enjoy the interaction with the various characters that you play with during the game, there are some other players who enjoy more of the storyline. We feel like it's very important for us to continue suggesting all these different ideas that would make the game more accessible to various people. And to be honest, there's not a single answer to this. But I feel like the key to continue making the Fire Emblem series successful is to continue challenging ourselves and implementing all these good ideas that come up during the development process. So Fire Emblem is enjoying a renaissance, and it's all thanks to you guys, because you were like, hey, that Fire Emblem looks pretty good, and now people are loving it. Andrew Eisen says, like poking people in the face with your stylus. Yep, that's the main selling point of the game in Japan. Here, game's going to fail because you can't blow on people's faces or rub their faces, just like you do in real life. The next issue of Famitsu is going to feature Masahiro Sakurai's 500th column. He's written 500 columns for Famitsu magazine. He started over 13 years ago. So this is number 500 coming up this week, or I should say next week. And Famitsu is celebrating this with a special live stream event on March 10th, celebrating 500 columns from Mr. Sakurai. And in his column next week, he will discuss what they're going to talk about on the live stream. So I don't know if that's a reason to get excited or not. The live stream is to celebrate all the work he's done for Famitsu. But maybe Sakurai will tease something else. I don't know. But it's set to air on March 10th. And obviously, Mr. Sakurai is going to be there. So, we'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll see what he's saying. First comment is a YouTube link, which I can't open. But thank you, Vonter. I'm sure it's a funny response. Jack Atlas says, someone should ask him if he's working on Smash Brothers for the NX. Yes, fans will have the ability to submit questions for this live stream, and I'm sure someone will ask that. We did the My Parents Play. And then today, here's our final top story. Excuse me. Hideki Kamiya, the very outspoken developer at Platinum, who's worked on the original Bayonetta and the Wonderful 101 and stuff like that. Like I said, very outspoken. Someone talked to him on Twitter earlier today, and they asked him, would you consider letting Namco Bandai include Bayonetta and Project Cross Zone 3? Now, Project Cross Zone 3 is something that doesn't exist right now, or it may never exist. We don't know. I'm sure it depends on how well the sequel, Project Cross Zone 2, does. But if it does exist, this guy wanted to know if Kamiya would like to have Bayonetta in there. And Mr. Kamiya said something really interesting. He said, there was an offer, but I said no. Now I kind of regret that I said no. I'm more than guessing he's talking about the previous entries. He's not saying like, yeah, Project Cross Zone 3, they're already working on it, and they asked me to have Bayonetta in there. I'm sure he's talking about more likely Project Cross Zone 1 or 2, probably 2 since that's out, or, the one fresh on our minds. So apparently he was asked, or Platinum in general was asked about Bayonetta appearing in the game, and Mr. Kamiya said no, don't want it to happen. But now that he sees the game or has seen what the series is about, he said, I kind of regret that decision. So we could have, we got Fire Emblem characters in there now for Project Cross Zone 2, and we could have had Bayonetta in there. But for whatever reasons, Mr. Kamiya said no. Didn't want it to happen. So you have to look forward to a sequel if it does come about. R10 has first comment, and he says, guess Bayonetta for Project Cross Zone 3 then, if there is a Cross Zone 3. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I remember reviews for the first one, and people were like, it's okay. It's not that great. But reviews of the second one seem to be more favorable. So hopefully people weren't too turned off by the first one that they don't want to check out the second one, because my understanding is so far the second one seems to be doing better with the game press, the gaming press, the game critics. So yeah, I don't know if this one sells well enough. Maybe we will get a 3, and then then Bandai Namco could revisit this whole Bayonetta situation. I mean, if there's one thing that Project Cross Zone games need, it's more characters. All right. That's the top stories for this week, barring any news that comes out later today. That's not a hint at anything. I'm just saying I'm doing a show on a Friday, and we usually do it Saturday. Oh, I guess I'll talk about what I've been playing this week, and then I will end it. Everything. The site, my life, all of it. Just end it all. What have I been playing this week? I can't even remember. I've been so busy with reviews and stuff like that and general site work. It's been a busy week that I went from playing a ton of stuff last week to not really playing too much this week. Let's see. Let me think. Fire Emblem Fates, I was playing more of that and working on that for my review. Yes, hi, Comanche. So yeah, I played more of that. But if you want to know how I feel, just go read the review. I liked it. I liked it a lot. 15.5 Brapples. So I played. Oh, don't bite me, you asshole. I played that. I'm trying to think if I played anything else. I know I didn't play anything on Wii U outside of. You can't sit there, dude. Outside of a little Ninja Gaiden. Didn't play anything else on 3DS. Oh yeah, I've been playing Tomb of the Mask on my iPhone, which I talked about last week. So I'm still playing that. Really fun, and it's free. If you have an iPhone, I don't know if it's out on Android, but if you have a mobile device, I can promise you it's out on iPhones. You can get it for free and try it out. A lot of fun. Again, I talked about that last week, so I won't spend too much time on it. Sir Shandy, I have not finished The Witness. I definitely want to go back in and play that. That's a game that I really like to play a lot, but when I'm done playing it, my head hurts because I'm really focusing hard on solving puzzles. So after like a good 2-hour session, I'm like, let me step out of this. So I am going to go back into it, but that needs to be like, it needs to be quiet. I need to be very focused for that game. R42, I did play Firewatch. I talked all about it on last week's podcast, and I very, very highly recommended it. Really enjoyed it. I've been watching Kirby play it this week. He started it. He started it after last week's podcast, I believe. It was that Saturday, later that day. He started it, and he was playing through it. And I'm really enjoying watching someone else play through it because I'm getting to hear all kinds of different dialogue, too. But yes, if you want to hear my thoughts on Firewatch, rather than me rehashing them again, you could listen to last week's show where I talk about what I played. But yes, I loved it. Voice acting is fantastic. Really enjoyed the story. And there's lots of stuff I want to talk about pertaining to that game, but I'm not going to do it because it's too far into spoiler territory and the game is so new. So I already talked about that. And I talked about Unravel because I played that as well. So those are done. I downloaded Gravity Rush HD, but I haven't had time to play that yet. Now I have. I've played more Oddworld because I finished up my review for Nintendo Force, and I'm doing a special kind of review for GoNintendo. Isn't that exciting? So there's a special review for that coming. I love Oddworld. I really feel like that franchise never, ever, ever got the credit it deserved. It built such a really unique and interesting universe with really like engaging characters. And simple but interesting stories. I still remember reading the instruction booklet for the original Oddworld, and I believe the back page said something about the game being part of a quintology. And there are going to be 5 completely different games in the Oddworld universe over the years. And I remember being so excited for that because I loved Oddworld so much. And then they did Abe's Exodus, which was another Abe game, which I was fine with. It was a great game. But it seems they never really got to the quintology plans that they originally had, because there was Munch's Odyssey, but Abe was in that as well. But we'll count that as a new one. And then there was Stranger's Wrath, which was new, that brand new. And then I feel like there's one in there I'm missing somewhere. But I never really feel like the franchise ever got the recognition it deserved or the player base or anything like that. And I honestly feel like a large part of that comes from the the platform it came out on, the original Oddworld, and the time it came out. So Oddworld came out on the PlayStation back in the day, and that's when developers and publishers and gamers alike were all fascinated by 3D polygonal games, and they were all obsessed with working in that genre or working in that visual style. Everybody wanted to do polygons stuff. So when you saw a game come out that was 2D, like more old school sprite-based 2D, even though it was computer generated like Donkey Kong Country, people were like, no, don't want it. I mean, it did well enough, but yeah, I think that really hurt it. That type of game at that time when polygons were like the new big thing. Like, this is what systems are going to do, and this is what games are going to look like. I think that hurt it. Plus, the fact that it wasn't on a Nintendo system, I think, hurt it, because I feel like that kind of like whimsical character-based game, especially, and the gameplay itself, like stealth, action, platforming, puzzle stuff, I feel like that really jived with Nintendo platforms at the time. You know, we got some, Game Boy or Game Boy Color stuff, but it wasn't the same. So I feel like that missed out and got the franchise off on the wrong foot. And then like Munch's Odyssey was going to be on PS2, and then it became an Xbox exclusive. I don't know if that lasted forever or not. I don't remember if it got ported to PS2 or not. But for me, that was the reason why I bought an Xbox. I was like, I didn't have much interest in an Xbox. And then they announced Oddworld as exclusive, and I was like, well, that forced my hand. I'm buying an Xbox. Because I love Oddworld. I haven't played an Oddworld game I don't like. I just wish more people would check them out. And I feel like people aren't too interested in Oddworld, and they should be. Oh, it makes me sad. But yes, I played Oddworld for the review, the double reviews. One is done. One is coming to GoNintendo. I think that's it. I really think that's all I played. The stuff I played this week was focusing on reviews, so I didn't have too much time. R42 says, Wikipedia says, Squeak's Odyssey would have been the next character. Yes. That rings a bell now that you say it. But I don't know. There's supposed to be an Oddworld movie in there, too, somewhere, and I don't know what happened with that. Lorne Lanning. Nice guy. Always had wonderful interactions with that guy. Very friendly. Very passionate about Oddworld, obviously, because it's his baby, but games in general. Very cool. Feel bad for the guy. I think he got a bum rap. All right. Sorry to end the show on a sad note like that. But yeah, I think that's it as far as what I played. We don't have a Twitter question this week because I was super busy, so we'll have one next week. But man, so many top stories and other site update stuff to talk about that I managed to fill an hour and a half. I'm not like, I got to make the show an hour and a half today. You know, hour and a half is around our usual time. We've actually been running later recently, but it worked out nicely today. So for those of you that watched live and joined the chat, thank you. I really appreciate it. I know it was last minute. I know you have better things to do than sit and watch some fat guy talk about video games, but I appreciate you coming in. And I hope that you spend the rest of your Friday/weekend doing all kinds of fun stuff, hanging out with family and friends, playing some games, taking it easy. I'll throw a plug in there for WWE Fastlane because that's this weekend. Pay-per-view, the road to WrestleMania. It's the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. So that's exciting. If you want to talk wrestling, I'll do it on the after show like I usually do. The after show, for those that don't watch live, is like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of me BSing about whatever while I wait for the show to export. So if you haven't caught it live, don't want to miss out. But thanks for joining me. These solo shows are always better when you guys are here, and thankfully you guys are always here. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next week with more people on Saturday. Take it easy. Goodbye, everybody. All right. After show. As soon as I do this. Okay. For a couple minutes, if you have any questions about anything in the entire world, and you want an answer from me, I will give it to you. Maximilian says, after show. Yep, it is the after show. See, because of the delay between when I'm talking and when you guys actually hear it, Takes a few seconds to get going. Well, G-Man, sir, has the first suggestion for after show, and he says, get naked. Well, it says get undressed, but that would leave me naked. That's not a question. If you used the question mark, I would have done it, but you didn't, so you can't redo it now. Andrew Eisen says, happy 549. Yeah, 549 shows. That's sick. Not sick as in, like, awesome. I mean, like, that's crazy. 549 shows, one every week since we started, and I haven't missed one. I've done them sick. I've done them without a voice. I've been on every single one of these shows, and we have never missed a week. That's crazy to think that somehow along the way, like Friday, Saturday, I don't know if we've ever had one on Sunday. I don't remember. But every weekend we've had a podcast. We've always made it happen. Nothing has happened that got in the way of that. I'm probably jinxing myself, but yeah. Yeah, we've done it. R42 says, I arrived a bit late. Which path on Fire Emblem did you choose? Well, the path I chose first was Birthright. I was building up suspense. I don't know if I want to talk about it because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. I want you to play it and see how things play out on their own. But yes, I will say it was a very, right before you make the decision, there's a cutscene that makes for me, it made the decision very tough. Without spoiling too much, I'll say, like, you're deciding between two families, let's say. Well, you know that because of Hoshido and Nor, but I mean, like, there's way more to it than that. And it makes for a very tough decision. It made for a very tough decision for me. G-Man Sir says, did you move the table? Yes, I talked about that already, G-Man Sir. I started the show at that. The table's only moved because it's set up from where it was for when we do parents play. So I moved the table up to the TV because I need the table for the laptop to record. And then, so my parents sit at this table. And I play with the TV, the giant TV, like 3 feet away from them. But in the near future, I will be changing that, and it will be a more appropriate setup, which I'm excited about. More details on that in the not too distant future. Yep. Let me go back up here. Thanks, G-Man. Maximilian X says, saw that trailer for Fuller House. Kind of made me cringe. Well, then it's doing the right thing. Full House originally made people cringe. It's just that the people that watched it, like myself back then, who were young when we were watching it, didn't know it was so cringeworthy. Now, that's the thing that I find funny. People watch the trailer for Fuller House and they're like, oh, it looks so cheesy and forced. And I'm like, yeah, just like the original show. That's how it was. It was always cheesy. That's sappy, cheesy, melodramatic. I think it's got the tone just right. But that's only based on the trailer. I watched the trailer for the new Pee-wee movie. I forget what it's called. Pee-wee's something something. But I'm a big fan of the Pee-wee Herman movies. The show as well, but the Pee-wee Herman movies. And this movie looks... It makes me laugh. The trailer makes me laugh every time because it looks just as stupid as the other ones. Like, it's just stupid jokes and stupidness and silly, weird things. It looks good. It's written by, unless I'm incorrect, it's written by Pee-wee himself, like the other ones, and Judd Apatow, who has made quite a few decent movies in his time. So I'm excited. It looks good. All right, the show's done exporting. That's all I got for you. Please feel free to stay in the IRC and continue your discussion of Fuller House and Pee-wee's Big Holiday. Thank you, Roth Sathi. Continue your discussion of Fuller House and Pee-wee and wrestling and Fire Emblem and Xenoblade and whatever. But again, thank you to those of you that joined. I appreciate it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to stop doing this podcast work because I need to get back to site work, and then I have to clean the house and do the dishes and be a stupid, boring adult. But I had fun with you guys, so thanks for coming. Like I said, I'll see you next week, regular time, as far as I know, and we should have a more regular crew, too. So take it easy. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.